If New Balance only made one running shoe, it would be the 1080. It is their best running shoe, period. With fine-tuned underfoot cushioning and an overall streamlined look, the Fresh Foam X 1080 V12 represent a subtle but impactful evolution of the flagship Fresh Foam running shoe. The 1080 offers a supportive second skin style fit with an engineered hypo knit upper for a more streamlined overall design.
That your skin can bring you so much pain. Now I hear you say you got the best of both ways. Won't you come and take a walk in my shoes?
Welcome to episode number 232 of the Inside Rain podcast. Thank you for joining us for another week. Not too big this week in the running news department, but we've got all the usual segments, so thanks for giving us a bit of your attention. And hopefully we can keep you company if you're going out for a run or doing whatever you're doing. Interview this week, Charlie Hunter Part 2, so they'll be coming to you at the end. Welcome to my co-host up in Canberra, as always, Bradley Croker. How you going?
Good, Brady. School holidays have begun, so I was tempted this morning to go, school holiday training camp and just start doing doubles every day, but I'm like, no, I'll just keep doing what I've been doing.
Yeah, it's a good time of the year for school teachers, but a rough first term, Croaks. School teaching, COVID, ripping through schools, absentees. It's been hard. It's been hard where I am. I'm not sure how you've gone, but pretty happy to see holidays.
Yeah, it's been all right for me. I guess one good thing as a relief teacher, with people being off work, it meant there was plenty of work for me. Yeah.
That's it. My other co-host down in Anglesea, fresh off his Surf Coast Track Club camp down there, Julian Spence. How you going?
Going pretty good, mate. Camp finished up yesterday and had the day off today, so it was nice to have a little relax.
Hey, Moose, you getting down to Bell's Beach to watch any of the surfing?
We did go down to Bell's today, actually. So it's a bit of a trek, really. You got to park in the paddocks out the back of the cliffs, and then locals get in for free. So we took advantage of that, and then wandered down. It's awful conditions at the moment. There's not a very good outlook either, so they had to run it today, and it was windy. It's onshore, and you're on the cliffs in the grandstand, or you're on the beach. Basically, they're the two options, and the wind sort of just whips straight into you no matter where you are. So it's not the most enjoyable viewing, and the surf's average, so there aren't a lot of waves getting ridden during each heat. But I was down there for the local wild card. What's really cool about the Rip Curl Pro is they run a trials event before the actual competition, and normally a local will surf his way through the event to get a spot in the main draw. And so I got to watch him today. His name's Tali Wiley, and he's from Torquay Board Riders. But the cool thing about that is the grandstands are packed with his mates and his family. So every time he got a wave, the crowd went crazy, and that he didn't get through, but it was still cool to watch.
Interesting. How do you know about this stuff, Croaks? You're a surfing fan?
No, I just on Fox. It was on TV today. So yeah,
and
always know it's around Easter as well.
Yeah, I know it's a big deal. It goes over Easter weekend, doesn't it?
Well, it's got a wait period, so they basically wait until the surf's good. So sometimes if the surf's not good on Easter weekend, then it doesn't run. And a lot of the time they run it the day after everyone leaves from the Easter break, and so it's just because the surf's better that day. It must be hard, the decision makers there, because they obviously want to create a good crowd experience, but they won't run it if there's shit surf. Yeah,
it's like Jack Rayner's 10k PB. Remember Bowman changed the race 24 hours later because it was windy?
I was going to mention that. Yeah.
Well, I thought we'd better start talking about running at some stage in this podcast. That was a good little link in. Who wants to go first? Croaks, you tell me about your week, because you've done a bit more running than Moose, and you had the big Canberra Marathon festival in town up your way on the weekend.
Yeah, I had an interesting week. Actually, it feels like a long time ago since last Monday because I had planned to have a bit of a down week, but it also coincided with having a bit of a cold. Like nothing major, like just, I think I mentioned it last week, sort of runny nose, sneezing a bit, and then had a bit of a sore throat. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I did the same thing. I just went and ran for an hour, all between sort of 4:10s and 4:15s. Tuesday, I went and had a COVID test just to make sure because I was meant to work Wednesday, and that came back negative. So that was the first 3 days, nothing special. And then we started to get a fair bit of rain. So Thursday, I just jumped on the treadmill for my sort of 45 minutes or so that I normally do. So it was actually, just over 10K in sort of 46 minutes. And then Friday, I wanted to do like one session during the week. I didn't really know. I hadn't really decided until I, warmed up, and I thought, I'll just do a progression run because, there's a fair bit of flexibility there. Like you start off at a pace that you could hold for the whole run, and if you feel good, you just sort of pick it up. So I did 15 minutes at 17k an hour, which is around 3:30s, and then felt all right. So I did another 15 minutes at 17.5, which is about 3:25s. And then just made it up to 35 minutes. So I pumped it up again for 5 minutes at 3:20 per kilometre. So just over 10K at, 3:28 on the treadmill. That felt pretty good. Heart rate would have averaged, I think, just under 160 for the whole 35 minutes.
Did you jump off there, Croaks? I'm just looking at the graph in between the first and second 15.
No, so what happens there
there?
Yeah, so with the Coros, and this is what I like about the Coros, is you can actually, so you know how with the Garmin's often it tries to work it out based on, I guess, how your arms or your legs, or I don't know how the algorithm works, but with the Coros, when you go into treadmill, you can actually just set what pace the treadmill's on. So for the first 15 minutes, I just set it, I basically tell my watch that, it's going to be 17k an hour, but then to change it, you have to sort of hit pause, scroll down to 17.5k an hour, then press go again. So that's where that drop is off. So the treadmill hasn't actually stopped. It's more just me playing with my watch during that period.
Yeah, because there's only 8 seconds elapsed time difference. So you obviously haven't stepped off. That's just you quickly changing your watch for 2 or 3 seconds, jump back on.
Yeah, moving time's 35 minutes, but the elapsed time's 35:10. So that's basically 9 seconds worth of me just playing with the watch in between pumping up the treadmill. But it was all continuous.
Glad I asked that question. Did you know that, Moose?
Didn't know that.
Not a bad function on the old Coros.
Yeah, it's really good for my easy runs where I don't change the treadmill pace. I just started at say 12.5k an hour for my 35 minutes and just set the watch 12.5k an hour, press go when the treadmill gets up to that speed, and I know that then it's accurate in terms of the distance that I'm getting. Yeah.
Well, but what does it run off though?
Well, it just runs off time. It basically, it just says, well, if you're running 12.5k an hour, and you do that for 60 minutes, it's going to be 12.5k.
Well, yeah, if the treadmill's right.
Well, yeah.
You've made a couple of remarks about this the last couple of weeks, Moose. Do you think it's not right?
No one's treadmill's right.
You know whose is definitely wrong?
Croaks's?
No, I reckon Croaks are right, but Aaron Scott over in the UK, did you see some of the workouts he was doing a month ago? He was flying.
Remember
this guy had this fit.
He rocked up to run a half marathon a few months ago, and he thought he was in like 66 shape. Ran about 73 minutes. But I actually thought he would run about 73 minutes. So I thought it was a good run, but it was just funny that his treadmill, I reckon, or some of it, he'd been thinking he was in some amazing shape, but he wasn't really.
Yeah, he's doing threshold reps at like 3:03 pace and stuff.
Yeah.
See, I don't really care whether the treadmill is accurate or not, because I'm not gauging shape off what the treadmill is telling me, but I can compare week from week. So like, for example, if I jump on 1 week and I'm doing 17k an hour for my 30-minute tempo and my heart rate's 160, and then the next week I'm doing 17.5k an hour on the treadmill for the same heart rate, like I know I'm getting fitter because so that's how I use it.
That's how everyone should use it. Compare treadmill to treadmill.
but I was also looking back. I have not done a long, continuous session outside since before my calf and COVID. The only sessions I've done outside in that time have been track sessions and basically hill sessions.
They make you soft.
A little bit, but I enjoy it. Like, I seriously love going out there on a Friday afternoon and just doing a treadmill session.
It's not even winter yet as well.
Brady, do you know who they don't make soft?
Jakob Ingebrigtsen?
Yeah,
exactly.
Everything you say from now on, let's just refer back to Jakob Ingebrigtsen and just check your comment a little bit.
Yeah, so no, I really like it. So then that brings me to Saturday. Because I was going to be out at the marathon or the running festival on the Sunday morning handing out drinks, and that started at 6:15. I didn't think I'd feel like doing my long run like after that, so I decided to do my long run on Saturday. And actually put the New Balance 1080 version 12s on for the first time, and I ran from home as well, which I don't often do for long runs, mainly because the reason why I did it this week was we'd had a fair bit of rain, and so I didn't want to take brand new shoes out on like really, really wet trails. Plus, I find this shoe is a little bit better on the road anyway. So I ran from home down to Mulligan's, but I only did 7K on the trails, and the part that I ran, the trails were actually pretty good. I got rolling. Like, it's downhill from home. End up averaging 4:01s for 2 hours, so 30 odd K. The last 5K was like solid, so it was a gradual uphill back home. I was rolling sort of 3:45s, but because it was Saturday and I had a pretty easy week, and it was going to be 3.5 days until I did my next session. I was happy to get rolling a little bit, and shoes were great. So we'll talk about that a little bit more during the episode, but actually it meant I pulled up really well on the Sunday. So then Sunday morning went out, got up pretty early, handed out drinks to my athletes, and then because it was almost like a bit of activation or a bit of a shakeout, because I was sort of jogging around the course a little bit, probably only covered 3 or 4 kilometres in total. But then when I went out for my run on Sunday, mid-afternoon or early afternoon, I felt so good. So I averaged 4:10s for an hour. So it was a week of 117K, just in singles, one sort of moderate session and a bit of a sort of up-tempo towards the end of the long run.
Yeah.
That's a big long run.
But what about the workout on the treadmill on the Friday night and then doing that at the end of your long run on a Saturday morning? Christian brought it to my attention, and I think it's silly. I think you got to respect it. So respect the workout to not do that on your long run the next morning. Yeah,
it wasn't a hard workout though. I averaged 158 heart rate for 35 minutes. It's not that difficult. And also, in terms of my standard long runs, this is an easier long run than when I do my 2 hours out at Mulligan's, when I do all of it out at Mulligan's, because I'm on the, most 22K of it was on bike paths. So it's a lot easier to get rolling on bike paths. And sometimes I actually find if I run a little bit harder towards the end of a long run, definitely the last 5K was up tempo, but I don't know, I felt great the next day. Anyway, and look,
I just don't want you injured, Brad. That's all.
It's all right. Look, I don't have a session, so I finished that run at 10:30 on Saturday, and I basically don't do a session until 6:00 Tuesday night. Yeah, but I'm not talking about what's coming up. I'm talking about what happened in the 24 hours before that. Stress, respect the stress, recover, stress your body again.
I reckon if Brady did this, you'd be all over him, Brad.
Bloody oath.
Possibly. But
this is
Ingebrigtsens do 2 sessions a day.
They never run 30K at 4-minute K pace and punch the last 5K after workouts. That is a workout in itself.
You didn't need the extra 5K.
Hey, it's a good advertisement for the shoes that we're plugging this week.
Oh, yeah, well, we've actually got a 10 to 12 minute segment coming up about the shoes. We don't need that in this part here when you're trying to defend this long run. Who do you know, Moose, who's doing long runs at 4-minute K pace?
Yeah. Brett Robinson.
I said it was up tempo towards the end. I guarantee. I tell you what though, the first 90 minutes was very comfortable.
You must be ridiculously fit because you're doing the same thing that very fit people do.
You hear this a lot, don't you, Brad?
Yeah.
I mean, Brady.
Well, that's what Christian put in, just cruising. Just cruising.
Just cruising. Very easy, but I'll run a marathon probably 20 seconds slower than this pace.
Well, you've worked the last 5K at similar pace to your threshold the day before.
See, you say my marathon pace is 4:20 at the moment.
Me.
You're running 4-minute pace.
Yes, and you said I'd run a marathon 20 seconds slower than this.
Oh, well, you'd be about 3:40s, I reckon.
It's just a risky thing to do when you don't have a race coming up.
Yeah, not required
to be pushing the envelope like that.
I agree with you on this one.
Maybe I should have just done some 62-second 400s instead.
I'm going to get to that in my week, actually, because I had some fans write in about that. Bruce, you're up next. How many Ks you do for the week, Croaks? 117.
Yeah.
Moose?
I'm up next. Yeah, well,
Take it.
I did 117K less than that. So I just kept on just rolling my no running rest week, but was in the gym a couple of times. So did some good gym workouts and progressing in there, like managing to do some good exercises, I think, for my VMO and my glutes. And then I also, sneak look at the purchase of the week. I got myself a mountain bike. So my current mountain bike I went to get it serviced the other day. They said it has a crack in the frame. It's a carbon bike. They said you shouldn't ride it anymore, or you can go to like a carbon person to get it fixed or something. So I'm like, oh shit. Well, probably need a new one. So I ended up buying a second-hand one, and it's really nice. Like, it has gears on it. My other bike is single speed, which I like the simplicity, but having gears, it makes it so much more enjoyable going uphill. So I got that on Thursday night, and was out cycling on Friday morning, and then Saturday rode with the group while they did a workout down at the camp, and then Sunday got out for the long run, and just getting on the bike a bit. It's going to help me with my quad strength, which will help me with my patella tracking. But the camp was good. You want to hear about the camp?
Yeah, I actually had a member of the camp give me some updates as it was going, which is good.
That?
All professional stuff too. My reply to him was, I wish you put this much work into the Inside Running podcast. That was my response.
I can't take credit for the camp.
I heard it was fantastic. Yeah, tell us a bit about though, because the listeners haven't heard what I've heard.
All right, well, the camp started. We met on Friday down at Anglehook. It's called a holiday camp or something. But it's just a space right next to the Otway National Park, or it might be State Park. But it's on a dirt road where Ali and I do a lot of workouts right near a good trail. And we met everyone there, and then headed down to the pub to start our run. So we started and finished at the pub on Friday night. We got epic weather. The weather was all time down here this weekend. So Friday night, kind of sunset running along the cliffs at areas. You couldn't really have scripted it any better, especially for the start of the camp. That was Friday night, and Friday we did like a little Q&A with Ali that night, talking about her Olympic experience, stuff like that. And then Saturday morning, woke up and did a workout. So everyone had a very similar workout. We did a moose fartlek out and back. So it's great when you have a lot of people doing an out and back to a time sort of frame, because you turn around all at the same time, and then it's sort of like if everyone has a perfect session, you all finish at the same time, at the same spot, back at the start line. But it was really nice. Again, we did that on a hilly road, so I think a lot of the crew were used to doing flat workouts. So this sort of shook a couple of them. We generously made it downhill on the way back. So that helped a few out that went out too hard. I actually had to race off to the store after that, but then Jess Rothwell came down, so the AA dietitian, and she gave a presentation on nutrition and running. And then after that, Ali took a strength and conditioning session. That's when I got back. I went out on the bike for the afternoon run. Had all like our dinners, sort of we catered for all the food and stuff. And then after that, I gave a little presentation on training. And then next morning, long run. So long run through the bush. This one here, like, we definitely underestimated how much of a shock a really hilly single track kind of course is to someone who's not used to it. So that's probably, we sort of killed a few runners out there on the long run. And it also got warm. So it probably got up to like mid-20s by the end of the run. So everyone was kind of feeling a little gassed. But very nice run through the bush, through the coast. It was awesome. So yeah, that was the camp. That was Friday afternoon to Sunday midday, and it was really well. Like, I mean, I didn't organise much of it. Renee, one of our coaches, she's great at this stuff, so she did it. She put it together, and then it all kind of flowed really well. We got some changes to make if we do another one, which we probably will. But like all in all, it was a really good weekend.
Yeah, good initiative. I like it.
Yeah, it was good, and even like we had Gunther there. No, Gunther was on the camp, 2:21 guy, and then we had like some people that would run an easy run at 6.5 minute Ks. So just a really wide mix of experience levels.
Did Gunther pay for a spot, or did he get a free one because he's a coach?
I can only be paid for a spot.
That's
We're not
right.
a charity.
Just checking, because he's got heaps of money, that guy, so it's making sure that he's spending some of it.
That's true. And look, we appreciated him coming down, providing the token fast runner for the trip.
He smacked up everyone in the Moose Fartlek, didn't he? That's what I heard.
Of course he did. Well, yeah. I mean, he was pretty good, but there were some other runners that the trick with that is sandbag in the first half.
Yeah.
So you look
Turn
like
around.
an absolute gun on the way back.
Yeah. I'll tell you about my week, I was coming off Run for the Kids, so it was all about recovery. And I kind of run not off a program when I come off a race, because I think too many people get caught in the trap of it's Tuesday, we've got to do a workout because it's Tuesday. So I don't have anything planned until my body kind of tells me that I'm feeling all good. And I was banged up, like those hills, as I say most weeks on this podcast, there's no hills in Chuka-Moama. So when I go on them, they smack the legs up a bit. So 60 minutes at 4:59s, boys, that's pretty slow jogging.
It is for an hour. It is for an hour. You can do 30 minutes of that. But normally after the first 30, you'll start picking it up. So the 60-minute runs will normally end up a lot faster. There
was no picking it up. I'm sometimes slow the first couple of Ks, and then I can get rolling a bit. But I think they were 4:55s like towards the end as well. So it was slow, and you just got to stick to it. Like, I wasn't looking at it, just looking at stopwatch and just being like, just whatever's coming out of your body, accept that and don't try and push it, because that's the theme, like recover. And then 30 minutes of the Arvo, 4:54s. Bit better Tuesday, 70 minutes at 4:36s, and like a significant improvement. Like, I felt a whole lot better than I did 24 hours earlier. And then 30 minutes in the afternoon at 4:47s. And then Wednesday is probably the day I started to feel better, but I just wanted to give it an extra 24 hours, just to make sure, just not pushing an envelope, just make sure everything was all good before I started like adding in the stress of like a medium long run or a workout. So that was 60 minutes at 4:37s in the morning, and then the afternoon 30 minutes at 4:31s, which is pretty standard for me. Whenever I'm near the 4:30s, I know it's kind of regular jogging pace. And then Thursday, I did a workout, and because it was my only workout for the week, I wanted to combine it. Like, I didn't just want to do a track workout, and I didn't just want to do a threshold workout. So I did 4x4 minutes at threshold, so hovering around that kind of like 3:11, 3:12 pace, off a 70-second jog between. And then I got myself back to the car, got in my spikes, and got onto the grass athletics track and did 5x400. And the idea with this was to settle, or kind of not settle, because it was pretty hard to kind of hit these paces, at 1,500 metre pace, so around about like 64, 65, and then work the last one home to really get that feel of what it's going to be like in the last lap at Stawell this coming Monday. So I went 64, 66, 66, 65, and 62, but much harder on the grass than it was compared to Shepparton the week before. This is the track where I have the 2 second a lap rule. It's just like a paddock. There's no one's mowing it like it's an athletics track or anything like that. So those times don't look great, but they're quicker than that on a decent track. and I was doing that off a minute. Then I got out.
Spikes?
Yeah, dragonflies. Yeah, I think you have to, don't you? Like, if you're going to race in them, you got to get in them. And it's the next percent's no good on the grass, I find. So I really don't have an option unless I'd maybe go an old pair of like Nike Streaks, or the New Balance. What was the original one? The green one, fluoro green with the little grippy thing on the bottom.
RC Elite.
That's the one. Yeah, the one that you love, Croaks. Is that one? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good on the grass, especially because like they run the sprinklers. It's just like it's not a great place to run fast, but the good thing is when you do go to Shep or when you hopefully go to Stawell or Bendere or whatever and get on a good track, the same effort feels a whole lot, or get you a whole lot quicker time. Then I got out for 30 minutes in the Arvo, 4:41s. Chris Hill, a big fan of the Bendigo Bats podcast, boys, so that's good. Chris Hill, long-time listener, so good to know we got an extra listen there after I gave a shout-out last week. Friday was the last day of school for the term. Had a shocker night's sleep. This was a combination of things. It was the night I interviewed Jeff Riseley, and it was a pretty long interview, so I don't think I got off air until about 10 p.m, so I got into bed pretty late because I was pretty wired after that. And then Hudson had another shocking sleep. I thought it was meant to be all, once you got kids sleeping through the night, Croaks, it was all good.
They always throw a curveball at you.
Yeah, the newborn's meant to be giving us trouble, but all of a sudden Hudson's just been piping up a bit. So
well, then you have to get up, because then they start going to the toilet on their own, but you still have to get up when they go to the toilet. So, Lily's up 2 or 3 times a night. Well,
he's just about to move out of a cot as well. Like, now he'll be able to do what he wants. So that's going to cause some issues in the next couple of weeks. But this was one of the ones where I just ended up grabbing him, taking him to the spare bed, chucking him next to me, pretty much putting him in a headlock and just saying stay there for the next couple of hours. But he was just reeling all night, had a shocking night's sleep. So Friday I just did 30 minutes before work at 4:42s, pretty cooked. And then I got out for 45 minutes in the afternoon at 4:27s. But yeah, still pretty tired. Saturday, easy hour in the morning. Listened to Hamish Blake on the Imperfects podcast. That was good, few laughs there. And then I did like 200 metres just out the front of my house. Put on, what shoes did I put on for this? Can't even remember. I reckon I put those New Balance ones on that we were just talking about, the fluoro green ones, and just set, so I don't know how accurate this is. Tell me what you think about this. Set 200 metre intervals on my watch, like laps, and then pretty much have my watch running, and then I just get a bit of a roll and start, hit lap on my watch, and pretty much just sprint until it beeped down a straight road. You reckon it's pretty accurate?
I always find those auto laps pretty dodgy.
Yeah, it's such a short period of time.
Yeah, it kind of feels like it anticipates the end of the rep.
Because it gives you a 5-second countdown.
No, this wasn't. This wasn't. This was just the laps. No 5-second countdown. This was just, if you have your watch set to beep every K. This was just that. I'd set my watch to beep every 2 minutes. 200 metres. So, and then I'd hit lap and then just pretty much run in a straight line until my watch beeped and then jog back again. But they were kind of like 28, 29, 30s, jogging super slow back. Just trying to get a bit of speed in the legs. Easy half an hour Saturday night. And then Sunday went out to Barmer. Haven't been out there for ages. Archie and Glenn out there. They did an hour 45. I did 2 hours. And yeah, one of those ones where we got about 15 minutes into their run, so I was probably half an hour in, and we just started rolling low 4 minutes, and then I just said, let's just switch back off to 4:20s here, boys. Like, it's a long season coming up. Archie raced the night before, that Collingwood Classic. Did you see that result? Obere?
I saw your Instagram.
Obere, who we were talking about last night, the Ethiopian guy?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they've had a big head-to-head, those two guys. Archie took him down for 62-second last lap. Flying. So I don't think Obere was too happy about that because he had a 63-second last lap left in him. But Archie smoked him in that last lap. So we'll recap on that race and just run along the river. And yeah, that was my week, 152. But a few things happening, boys. The Stawell handicaps are out for next Monday. Paying attention to this? Probably not now. You aren't racing.
No.
130 metres they've given me. I'm the front marker. I'm the worst guy in the best race. So
well, that's good for you. That's a pretty decent handicap.
130. Nah, I'll have to run the race of my life to win this. Nitter's off 100. Here's a big chance. I reckon he'll start favour off 100 metres, so he's 30 metres back. Jeff Riseley's off 0 metres. He's the scratch man. Who else do the listeners know? I don't know. There's a whole list of people here. Just
See,
these.
but the thing is, they've taken your 1500 metre race that you did, and that was the day after you raced the 5K.
Yeah,
So
big countries.
So you're better than 404 or whatever you ran.
Hopefully, you've got to be better than your handicap to try and win it.
So, but the point is, you're better than 404. You were better than 404 when you ran 404. So your handicap should be better than what they've given you.
Yeah, I get what you mean. But then because I haven't raced, they haven't got... But I'm pretty open in my training.
You basically just run... Yeah, so it's called running dead and then getting a good handicap and then winning.
I didn't run dead at Vic Countries. I tried to win it.
You ran a bloody 5K the day before.
Yeah, but remember I was trying to push the pace to run under 4 minutes and no one would push the pace with me?
You're not going to run your best 1,500 metres if you've run a 5K 12 hours before.
Yeah, that was pretty slow, that 5K, though. Just a big kick finish.
Yeah.
Anyway,
they really don't like that, Brady, when you do that.
I am the most transparent person with my training. I talk on a podcast about it every week, what I'm doing.
You might have to give your money back at the end.
I'm not trying to hide stuff. No, they've handicapped. I was talking to Knitter about it before. Like, there's a 152 guy starting, is it 20 metres behind me? And I think he's around 356. Like, yeah, there's a 349 guy, maybe like 70 metres behind me. Like, it's definitely not handed to me. It's going to be an interesting race. But once the gun goes, I'm just going to have to fang it. Like, being on the front marker with two other guys, and then there's guys 10 metres behind us, then 20 and 30 and 40, all the way back to 0. So it's going to be a good spectacle. Bruce McAvaney's doing the commentary. Did you see that announcement?
I did see that.
How good's that? I'm hoping he does our race and not just the sprints. So
I'm thinking it's just the sprints, to be honest.
You reckon?
Paid per race. They're not going to pay him for you.
I reckon they'll pay him for the whole couple of hours of coverage.
No, I don't think so.
So that's going to be Easter Monday, boys. 10 years since I won it last time, so a few years between drinks with Stawell sashes. So, listeners, get on your couch, cheer for me on the TV, please. And hopefully I can hold off all the big dogs trying to chase me down.
Brad and I might... I'll be at work, but Brad and I could almost try and live stream it. And we could do a call. We could...
Watch party.
You could turn Bruce off and listen to us.
You could. Yeah, I don't know about that, but
probably wouldn't do that.
Yeah, just maybe you guys can just even for the overseas listeners, maybe just hold your video camera on your phone at the screen and put it on our Instagram or something like that. Because I'm not sure how they'll watch it. It's a bit of a joke that if you want to watch me as a front marker anyway, because there's a lot of quality guys behind me, but hopefully it's going to be a good race. And I'm looking forward to just getting over there and having a go. I was going to pick your brain, Croaks. Any week before suggested workouts to sharpen for a 1500? Because I've only ran 2 1500s in 7 years. I actually don't know what I'm doing. And because you're not allowed to wear watches in these, like, say I've got to run 4 minutes off my mark, you're not allowed to wear a watch in your race. And you're also not allowed to look behind you. You get fined if you do that stuff or disqualified. So...
What, if you look behind you?
Yeah. There's heaps of...
No.
Yeah.
What?
Because that's the...
Not a racing.
No, because the whole thing is when the gun goes, you run as hard as you can to the finish line. So if you're looking behind you and going... Sense. No, so what happens is people look behind them and go, you know what, I'm winning this easy, I'm going to jog this in, and then not show your full potential of your race. There's very different rules in pro running.
Like you'll get disqualified if you look behind to see where someone is
during the race. Like, I'm sure if it's like over the finishing straight and you look around to see if you got it sealed. But if you're say 2 laps in and you're starting to look over your shoulder, they don't like that at all. Like, that'd be an infringement. So
there's another little intricacy with this racing.
Yeah, so
I thought
you've got to be able to pace yourself well.
No, you said the other day, like, it teaches you how to win. That doesn't teach you.
Well, it teaches you how to win because you've got to get your tactics right because you don't have a watch. And you've got to... It's like, you got to know where you are in the position of the race. So, like, the year I won off... I think it was...
How are you going to know without looking around?
I know, that's the thing, yeah. So I reckon I won off 80 metres, which meant we had people like 25, 30 metres in front. So you've got to worry about catching the front markers. But you've also got to make sure you're running honest enough that the back markers aren't going to catch you. So it's like this whole... You can never really relax because you're getting hunted. And, well, not for me this year because I won't be hunting anyone because I'll have no one in front of me. But it's, it's an interesting concept.
I didn't hear that.
So, Croaks, give me some... What do I do this week? I need one good track workout to prime me for a 1500 or a 1470.
We used to do some like 300s, but also I always found like a hard 800 metre race, like in the lead up to a 15 was good. It just made 1500 metre pace feel a bit easier.
What about 2x800, but trying to do them at mile pace or 1500 pace?
With decent recovery.
Yeah, big recovery. Yeah. Because I want that feeling of like, you know how you can kind of wing a 300 metres?
Yeah, or you could even do like
a broken.
You can even do a broken thing where you run 600 meters at 1500 meter pace.
Yeah.
Then you have short recovery, and then you try and run a 300. So you do maybe 2 sets of that because you're pretty lactic from the 600, and then that last 300 almost replicates the back end of a 15.
Yeah, that's what I want. That wobbly feeling where you still got to run fast on wobbly.
So do a hard 600, short recovery, and then a hard 300.
And then that's it, or you do 2 of those?
Maybe try and do a couple of sets of that.
Okay.
But you'd have to have pretty good recovery between the 2 sets.
Yeah, I like that. And then my other thing here, Moose, this was last week. You didn't like my 400 metre workout, but then I had one of your athletes write in recommending telling me that you'd set her a harder workout than that one. You know what I'm talking about here?
It wasn't a harder
because you were
workout
included in the same message. Olympian Ali Pashley wrote in, reckons you were being too hard on me because you once said her 20 by 400 off 45 seconds in 70 seconds, which is quicker than her 3K pace.
She didn't do it. No. She did 72 to 73 seconds.
But
right?
she said she
Workout
had to argue.
Adjusted. No, workout was adjusted because like that's what you do. Just she didn't do the workout that was like originally written because we discussed and we said, yeah, that's too hard. Okay, so we changed that, didn't we? We changed it, Brady. So that wasn't the workout that she did.
Still, that's way harder than what I did. And then a listener pointed this out, that before Lake Biwa sent me a screenshot, you did 20 by 400 off 30 seconds in 67, which is quicker than your 5K pace. So I reckon it's a bit hypocritical. I'm happy to accept your apology. Brad's not involved here because I'm happy to agree to disagree with Croaks about training stuff.
Can you remind Brady what I ran at Biwa?
I'm happy.
Exactly. It's a great workout to prep you.
I'm happy to agree that Moose is very hypocritical and changes the rules depending on what suits him at the time. But I still think your session was too hard.
It was a good session. And you guys are talking about these workouts off 45 and 30. I had 3 minutes and 56 seconds after my 12th rep. You know how much you recover in that time? I reckon you both lost the plot.
Workout, isn't it?
Well, it worked all right for Archie when he had to kick down at 62 seconds to beat Obere on Saturday.
That was because that workout. You gave him a different workout.
Well, he didn't
even do that workout.
He did tempo.
No,
short stuff.
I thought his was a tempo, but then I looked back on it. He ran 2.5K at 3:02K pace. His was harder than me doing 5 reps at
That's his
70s.
threshold pace now.
I know. He's in shape. Anyway, so accept your apology. Thanks to Ali Pashley for writing in. Christian also wrote in.
I still think I'm right here.
Oh, mate, you're doing these same workouts. This took inspiration from you. That's where I got it from. Let's thank some Patreon supporters. Bradley, you're first.
All right, I got Brad Sampson this week. Brad lives in Eltham in Victoria, and I've actually been coaching him for just over a year. And about a week ago, him and his wife welcomed Sadie to the family. So congrats. He's now a dad of 4. He's a myotherapist. Yeah, he's got 4 kids now. So actually, we were saying off air, Brady, like being down in at the Canberra Running Festival, and like the people that I coach, like most of them have like pretty full on jobs and families, and like to fit in all the training that's required is just so inspirational. Like I had 12 people running on the weekend. I had 7 in the marathon, and all ran PBs, like from basically anywhere from sub 240 to just over 4 hours, and just seeing like how pumped they were, like, and the times that they have to run to get their training in, like they're up at like 5 in the morning, and it's like if I had to run at 5 in the morning to get my runs done, like I don't know whether I'd actually be a runner. So it's it's super inspiring. Anyway, he's a myotherapist and owns Performance Healthcare. He also travels and works with the V8 supercar drivers. Since I've been coaching him, sort of been focusing more on half marathon and marathon. I recently broke 22 minutes for a 5K recently. Actually last year we were training for Gold Coast, and he was on the Gold Coast when it got cancelled, and decided to just go and basically run a marathon sort of solo up there. I think the day after it was meant to be on, But then he went down to Melbourne last year and broke his marathon PB there of 3:41. So he's gearing up for Geelong half and then Gold Coast Marathon again this year. So thanks for your support, Brad.
Thanks,
Long half, hey, for Brad.
Yeah, and then Gold Coast.
Yeah. Where's he from, Brad? Where does he actually live?
Eltham?
Eltham, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Geelong half's pretty good. You've done that, Brady?
No, I haven't actually. It goes along the river, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It's got good prize money, doesn't it? Karina Fife broke the course record last year, I reckon, and got some bonus.
Oh, maybe if you break a course record, but
Doesn't-
$500.
Who doesn't Obere have the record down there as well?
Yeah, I know someone fast has it. Maybe 64 minutes or something.
Yeah, it's quick for that course.
Nick Harrison ran there one day, pretty quick. I think that he was the previous record holder, maybe.
Okay, you thank your Patreon supporter. I'll see if I can find it.
Jared He from Turner in the ACT, but now lives in WA. What does he need to update his Strava profile, Brady?
Did you add that, Crooks?
Yeah, I wrote that. So he was in Canberra. He actually came to a few of the Tuesday night sessions that we put on, but then he's moved to WA, I'm guessing for work recently. But obviously when he signed up for Patreon, he was living in Canberra.
Got out of there quick, smart, Brady.
Yeah. Don't blame him.
Yeah, he's run 18:23 park run at Rockhampton, and then 39:35 10K in Fremantle, 1:28 half marathon in Canberra 2021. So he's well-travelled runner. Potentially a judge's associate in the Federal Court of Australia.
Yeah, probably not that anymore if he's moved from Canberra. I don't know.
What does that mean?
Don't know. That's why I put those eyes there. It sounds good though, doesn't it?
Judge's associate.
Sounds very important.
It might be like an assistant.
Sidekick? Yeah.
Yeah, PA. Coffee bitch.
Paralegal, is that what they're called? You watched Suits before?
Yeah, I watched Suits.
Love Suits.
Great show. Yeah.
This is something well above our pay grade, I think.
Yeah, well, if we don't know what it means, it's probably pretty good. Thanks,
Jared, for your support, though. I'm going to thank James Gamble from Woking over in the UK. I reckon they just had a big half marathon over there a couple of weeks ago. A couple of UK running podcasts I listen to talk about the Woking half marathon. So they'd be right in James Gamble's neck of the woods. He's got 2 arm sleeve tattoos, boys. He could be the most inked Patreon supporter we've got. Like, can't even see any skin. It's like he's wearing a long sleeve t-shirt, both sides.
Right, okay. Pretty cool, dude.
Pretty cool guy. Very trendy. He's ran 15:55 for 5K, 33:30 for 10, 74:45 for the half, and 2:47 for the marathon. And that was at London Marathon last year. So, what's best there, Moose? Definitely not the marathon.
Take
a bit off that.
Let me make an assessment on this.
Maybe the 5K, Crocs? 15:55?
Yeah, I reckon the 5K, yeah.
Maybe fast twitch kind of guy. Which would make sense, because fast twitch guys have more tattoos.
Easily the 5K.
Yeah. So James, Brad, Jared, thank you for your support.
I don't know. 74:55 is pretty good.
Yeah.
No, I reckon it's 74:55.
Nah, so our first ever guest, Trav Haslam, he hasn't broken 16 minutes before, but he's run like 73 or something for half.
That doesn't. We don't use. We don't.
Because he was the first guest.
I still reckon.
Do you want to put in the calculator? Nah.
I don't know.
15:55 equates to 1:13:35.
Yeah. Thank you.
What about 10K?
10K is 33:09. Marathon 2:33:15.
Got a bit of work to do there, Jimmy, for that marathon.
Long runs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon he'd maybe only done a couple though. So maybe he's just learning the craft of the marathon. That website they got over there, Run Britain? It actually puts all their PBs.
They call it something out. They call it
Power
something
of
else.
10, that's the other one.
Yeah, that's what they call
there's
it.
There's 2 of them, I think. I think there's 2.
Okay.
And when they do it, they rate it on, they don't list it as their best PBs. It's like rated on like an age grade thing or something. It's actually really confusing to figure out what the actual PBs are. But anyway, boys, tell me something that costs $5 that's equivalent to our Patreon sign-up fee.
1 capsicum.
1 capsicum. Shit. 1 month of content against 1 capsicum.
They're like $15 a kilo.
Is it red or is it green?
Red capsicum.
Yeah. Tell you what.
you know, another thing that's really, I think, shit value for $5 is you go to one of these like boutique patisseries and like the smallest little tart is like $6 or something.
I agree with you. And that's coming from a bloke whose parents own a bakery.
Yeah.
That would really shit you, wouldn't it?
Yeah, like it's the price of that stuff's just ridiculous. Yeah. So
that's good for you this week. So just think about that, listeners. How does that stack up compared to our monthly content that we put out at the Inside Run podcast? Moose, you got something for me? $5?
Is one gel?
You said that last week.
Did I really?
Yeah.
I tell you what though, Moose, if you're at the 35k mark in the marathon and you're struggling, I reckon you're happy to pay more than $5 for a gel.
Yeah, okay. Gee, I don't know. My life is inside a running store, so that's all I've got for $5.
$5. Don't you do the supermarket shopping or anything?
Nah, that's not my domain.
That's not your domain. Do you ever find, Croaks, when you stand at that point cheering on people you coach, that people are throwing away gels? You know, people that have packed too many, trying to get rid of some weight?
Yeah, no, I didn't see anybody throw away gels. So it was a bloody cool day though. I forgot how good those like running festivals are.
Mate, that's why you got to get back on start lines. This is what you're missing out on.
Yeah, but from a coaching point of view, like you guys can relate to this. So following the app, there were like 4 guys that I coached that were like, I remember talking to Viv the night before. I'm like, these guys all like want to break 3 hours, and it's like touch and go. It's like depends on the day, and you're looking at the app. And because the first half of Canberra is like slightly hillier, you want them to be like conservative and then come home, especially because on Sunday there was absolutely no wind on that, you know, that long section, Brady, the main road. Yeah, so if there's no wind along there, like you can actually get rolling. And looking at the app, all 4 of them at the 40k mark, it was basically between 2:59:45 and 3 hours and 15 seconds. And I'm just like, oh my God. And so I was at the finish line. I'm like, nah, I can't be at the finish line because, you know, you can yelling them, 50 meters from the end. You're not going to make up any time whatsoever. So I bolted down the road to about maybe 400 meters out. And as they came through, like tried to give them a bit of a rev up. And like one guy had said, all right, 2 minutes to go. And like he started sprinting. So I was like, all right, well, he's got plenty left in the tank. He'll make it. And then, you yell at others and they're like trying to go a bit quicker, but just couldn't. And so the last guy that came through, he had 90 seconds to run like, I don't know, what was it, 300 and something meters. And I'm running next to him and I'm almost in tears because like he ran 3 hours 1 and 50 seconds or something last year. And I'm basically almost in tears going, mate, today's your fucking day. Come on, you got freaking 90 seconds to go. And so the other 3 guys all got under between 2:59:30 and 2:59:45. He was 3 hours and 5 seconds. Ooh. It was a PB, but you're just like, the
day wasn't his day.
Well, it was still a PB.
Yeah. Still an amazing performance.
But just seeing
we
people...
do get too caught up on that, though.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's an arbitrary number, and it's like I'm pretty sure you go to somewhere else. Like Canberra's not the quickest course going around, but yeah, like I saw one guy crawled across the line. Like, and we're talking
what, a guy you coach?
No, like another guy who like did the whole like collapsed like about 10 meters from the line, and people were like, "Do we go to him? Don't they go to him?" And they let him like crawl across the line. But yeah, just people just absolutely rinsing themselves.
Yeah, this is the running community. Get amongst it more. This is what happens every weekend.
So, so obviously you sort of go, oh, maybe it'd be cool to be out there, but also from the coaching point of view, like being there to actually support them, like, through different stages of the race is also quite fun and rewarding. Yeah.
And the results, the women's marathon was won by Marni Ponton. She ran 2:43:27. Jamie Lacey won the men's in 2:31:28.
Yep.
We were talking about Marni potentially going for that world champs time. So you might know more because I think Sean Crichton and maybe Paige Campbell were pacing her. And was it a blow up or what happened?
So there was actually a decent pack. Russell Chin, he jumped in initially as well. And then I spoke to Chinny after the race and he said that they got to 22, 23K and she's like, nah, it's like I'm struggling, you go. So Chinny basically then just took off and he finished third and just did his own sort of thing. So I'm not sure what her plans were, but I guess it's always hard. Like, no doubt she's trying to get a time for either Worlds or Com Games, and I guess you can only sort of chase for so many sort of weeks, like doing Newcastle and then pulling out and then doing Canberra. Like, it's very hard to, what it's like you put everything generally into one marathon,
mentally.
Even like mentally and physically, and then to try and pull out of a marathon 1 week and then get yourself up to go again the next week. It's hard to do.
Yeah, I agree. I think you need to fully commit to something like that, because once it gets into that period where you're on the line and it can go either way, you need to invest in that. You need to be fully committed to the burying of yourself. And you can only do that when there is no second chance, when there is no next day or next race.
Do you think, though, I was actually thinking about this a bit before, how in Australia, we're starved of really good quality fast marathons, whereas Europe, you can pull out of one quick marathon and you know that there's a quick marathon the next week or 2 weeks later. If you lived over there, I reckon it would be very easy to not commit to the one and pull out, because you know that there's something else that you can go to.
Yeah, it's so good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it'd be good and bad, because it would
the safety net.
Yeah, exactly, the safety net. And if you imagine, can you think if you let's say you put Berlin or Rotterdam or London or Paris and Amsterdam,
Hamburg. Yeah.
Put 6 of those around Australia. You reckon anyone runs Melbourne?
No.
Canberra?
No. The Canberra thing's already dropping, isn't it? At that times that those races just got slower and slower. Maybe not Marni's, but the men's definitely.
Yeah, so...
didn't you come 4th one year running 2:24, Brett?
Yeah, I came 3rd that year, 2:24. In that was pre Super Shoes too. But I guess part of it's prize money. I think it was $500 for winning the marathon, where it was definitely more than that when I finished 3rd. So that is obviously going to stop some of the top guys coming along. The course is not it's not Great Ocean Road. Not that I've run Great Ocean Road, but I'm guessing it's not Great Ocean Road hilly, but there's definitely some lumps to the course. So yeah, but in terms of the day yesterday, conditions, other than, for Canberra, it was on the warmish side, but there was absolutely no wind whatsoever. It's the stillest I've ever seen that event. So and Sam Toll won the half in 67.47, and Tennille Ellis won the women's in 77.11.
Good. Did you guys catch much of the Brisbane Track Classic? There was a
I missed all of it, actually. It
was on a weird time, wasn't it? It was mid-afternoon.
I went back. I haven't watched the 15, so I've only got results here, but I watched the 8s. Callum Davies won the 15 in 3:40.6. Jude Thomas was 2nd, 3:41.1. Sam Tanner from New Zealand was 3rd, also 3:41.1. And then Georgie Griffiths won the women's 4:10.3. Claudia Hollingsworth was 2nd, 4:10.6. And Jayla Cameron Hancock was 3rd in 4:15. So nothing to report there unless you guys watched him.
Did you read that in reverse?
Jayla, was it Hancock Cameron? Did I say Cameron Hancock?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was working from left to right. You see how their names are on the left there, the first names?
Yeah.
You can see why I've done it, can't you?
Well, yeah.
Why, but it's still a very strange thing.
You don't get tired here. I get tired at this hour on a Monday night, Moose.
I know, I can tell. You got a baby.
Got 2 babies.
You're on holidays, mate. You're on holidays.
Yeah, holidays from one job. I've still got another couple of jobs I'm doing, though.
You only work part-time anyway.
I work part-time as a teacher, but then part-time as a running coach and part-time as a podcast producer, which equals 1.5 jobs. And I'm a parent, and I've got to run 160 Ks a week, which you guys don't know much about at the moment.
That's true.
Anyway, I did see the 8th, though. Bendere Obere. She won 2:03.1. Tess Kirsopp-Cole was 2nd in 2:03.15. And Sarah Billing, she came home strong, 2:03.5. But I'm feeling for Bendere because the way her races are getting paced have been... did I send you guys a photo? There was a photo.
Sent a photo.
I sent a photo. I took a screenshot of it with maybe 450 metres to go. The pace is 30 metres in front of her. She's gone to go with the pace a bit dropped off, so she's 30 metres back. And then there's a massive pack 20 metres behind her. And it's just this girl's new to the event. She's being told the pace is going to go a certain pace. She tries to go with them and they go too fast and she blows, or she kind of dropped off. The pace was no value at all for her. and she was kind of caught in no man's land when the pacer dropped out, and then the pack tried to get her. But she's got this ability to fight on and still win the races. So although it wasn't that quick, it was pretty impressive that she still took the W. And then Pete Bol, all class in the men's, he won that in 1:46.1. James Preston was second from New Zealand, 1:46.3, and Brad Mathers, also the New Zealander, was third in 1:46.5. So a lot of, when you start thinking about Samuel Tanner there as well, a lot of success from the New Zealand boys in the 15s and the 8s. That's all I've got for results, boys.
Why do you think Claudia Hollingsworth ran the 15, not the 8?
No idea.
Do you reckon she's a better 8 runner or a better 15 runner?
I think maybe 8 at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, how do you make decisions like that? Because I don't really coach many track athletes.
But I think often 800, depending on the type of runner you are, 8 and 15 aren't too far, removed. You look at somebody like Luke Matthews, he ran both the 8 and the 15.
Yeah, but how do you decide though?
So she's 2:01 for 8 and 2:10 for, that was a PB for her for the 15.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the decision. Let's get your 1500 metre PB down.
Yeah.
She's only 16.
I know, it's wild.
When you go to an IWF profile, age 16, and
she's
run
the
2:01.
prospect.
Yeah.
Bit Georgie Clark remember Georgie Clark?
Yeah.
She was a Geelong girl, wasn't she?
Yes, she was. Yep.
Yeah.
She was. I remember going to school sports. She was a year above me or something, and she was the phenomenon during
2000
high school.
Olympics. She was 16 or something when she went to the 2000 Olympics.
Yeah. Yeah.
She'd be a good interview, Croaks. You know her?
I met her a couple of times. Met her at a pre-Zatopek dinner, actually.
What?
Yeah.
What were you doing there?
Oh, they had it was when was it? It must have been some anniversary of the Zatopek meet, and they had the greatest race. Bruce McAvaney was there doing a mock commentary of the greatest ever 10,000 metre race of through the generations.
I remember that.
Yeah. So it was the night before.
Oh, were you there as
Zatopek.
well, Moose?
No, I just remember I remember that concept's pretty rare. And so I remember the
Hang
concept.
on, what was the race?
It was 20. So it was the greatest 10,000 metre race to have never happened. So basically, I don't know who wrote the script, but it was all the top 10K runners from all the different generations, and it was Bruce basically commentating that race.
Really? That would be fascinating.
A fictional race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
what happened at the end? Was it Bekele beats Gebre Selassie over Turgard on the line?
I don't know. I reckon Clark was in there at some point too.
Oh wait, okay. So they're on.
Yeah. So Ron Clark was definitely in it, and I think Ron Clark was even at the dinner.
I'm not sure though. That's a good
2010.
question, but I'm not sure how Ron Clark fits there because didn't win a medal.
It's on YouTube.
Gold medal.
I found it
There you go.
from 2011. Greatest Zatopek 10 never run. Phantom Call.
So the Phantom Call was actually.
I'll put it in the show notes.
I think the Phantom Call though was 2000. It was 2010 was the dinner because it was my first Zatopek and it was the last one at Olympic Park.
Okay, someone just uploaded this, I think, in 2011.
Yeah,
it's on Athletics Victoria's page. Yeah.
There you go.
That's what I'm doing when we get off air. Let's wrap this show up.
You said hey you knew Georgie Clark. Well, she was actually in a class of mine when I went back to uni the second time at Victoria University. She was going back I was doing a nutrition degree. I think she was doing a similar thing. And it was in a physiology class. So we did one of those VO2 max tests or something. And the lecturer knew exactly. I think it was only him and I who knew who she was, and no one else really knew, of course. But he would always ask her questions about stuff, and the rest of the class is like, why does he keep asking her about these exercise physiology questions and training questions and stuff? It was a pretty interesting dynamic.
She made the semi in the Olympics when she was 16.
Yeah, it was amazing. I think, because she's really good friends with Sean Crichton, so I think that was the link. That's how I ended up sort of meeting her.
Tee her up, Croaks, because it's always hard. I've been trying to find female interviews. I've got heaps of blokes lined up, but I need some girls.
Yeah, I've got I've got another one like that I've thought about, which I'll mention to you guys off air as well.
Oh, okay. I like that. Doing some thinking. That's the news. Listener question, Bradley.
All right. So this one came in a little while ago. It was
since then.
Before Sinead did Nagoya. Hey lads, bit of a listener question. As you've spoken about previously, one of the most frustrating aspects of being an athletics fan is how hard it is to find any information about what people are up to / training towards. You've essentially got to hope they've put it on their own social media, unless we're lucky enough to have you ask them. With the World Champs / Com Games both coming up this year, it would be great to get a bit of a rundown on what our main contenders for these spots are aiming towards in the coming months, particularly on the female side where competition for spots is going to be intense. I've picked up that Sinead is doing Nagoya and maybe Eloise, but it's hard to know about the others like Lisa, Ellie, Millie. Similar with the men, we tend to hear what Brett and Jack are up to, but is Liam targeting a marathon in the next few months? What about blokes like Andy Buchanan, Ed Goddard, and even Reece Edwards? Pretty bulky question and a big ask, I know, but some anticipation of what to look forward to can only be good, I reckon.
Huge problem for our sport. Massive problem.
Funnily enough, we talked about this today, Brady.
We did. This listener question's been in. I don't think we've done a listener question for maybe 3 weeks, so this one has been ready to go.
That's from Daniel Garner as well.
We did talk about this, and I think it's, like major sporting codes, when your team's playing, when you get on the couch and watch them, when you're waking up in the morning excited that Collingwood's playing and things like that. Like, we don't have this in running if people keep stuff quiet.
But we know, like, Kipchoge's doing this, and obviously Bekele's pulled out of New York, of course. But we knew
Craig Engels, when he didn't make the team for the US Olympic team, I reckon he put on his social media like almost a tour poster. Like, these dates, this is when I'm racing the next 4 weeks. And I think that was really good. Because you're right, Daniel's right, there's fans out there that want to be engaged in the sport. But, and I find with running as well, like, the amount of like Chinese whispers that go around, and most of the time they're wrong. Like, some of the stuff that hits my inbox, it's like, yeah, Lisa's going to do this, but then she's not actually doing that. Or Andy Buchanan's going to do this. And then, who was the other one in there? Reece Edwards. Like, I don't know what the hell he's doing.
I looked at his Strava actually the other day. Like, he was running a lot of marathons back to back. It looks like his Strava's pretty much like gone dead. Like, he's done very little. So I don't know whether he's injured or just taking a break.
Millie Clark, I had no idea she was doing Paris until I saw that result last week. It's like, this is our Australian Olympic marathoner from 2016. Just won Melbourne in a fast time. Like, this is the name that we should know, and we're massive fans of the sport, and you miss it.
Do you reckon Paris Marathon would have announced it though? Like, she would have been in the elite field for Paris, but not that we ever see the elite field for Paris.
Well, we're not going to get a press release from them or anything, are we?
So whose job is it? Is it the
agent's job? Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you think the athletes like to keep it secret so their potential competition for the spots don't go to the same marathon?
No, I don't think that, would they? You think they'd be that cagey about it?
Well, I don't know, because if you go somewhere and you know that no other Aussie's going to be there and you have a good run, but if you go with another Aussie and that Aussie beats you at that race, that's not good for your selection chances.
Yeah, I don't think. Maybe when it gets right down to the selection stuff, but I think people will chase the time first over that.
Did we hear what Ed Goddard's doing in 2 weeks' time?
I'm guessing you'll do Hamburg.
Is that 2 weeks today? 2 weeks weekend gone.
Yesterday.
Why don't I send him a message? We'll see what he gets. See if he hits us up.
I reckon it's Hamburg.
What about we do a bit of research with all these names, and we'll see if we can cover some of the answers for next week's show.
What's Andy Buchanan doing? I saw that he's over in London.
Just prepping for Giles Park, Andy Buchanan.
No, don't be. No, see, this is the bullshit. You play into the bullshit. You just talked about how bad it is, and then you're like, you're in the media.
You know what he's doing.
You're in the media, and you're terrible by you.
When I speak to Andy as inside running Brady, and when I speak to him as like Bendere Obere's teammate Brady, are two different things. So when he tells me something as inside running podcast Brady, I will tell you. I'll have a chat and see if I can feed something in for next week's show.
So why do you think then he's wanting it to be secret?
No idea. You'd have to ask him. That's not for me to comment on.
Oh, here we go. Brad, this is no good here.
Because
he's just had a crack at everyone being real quiet about it, and then he's real quiet about it himself.
That's not me I'll tell you, I'm always open about what races I'm doing.
See,
it's not for me to say.
anybody can follow Andy on Strava. So it's like everyone can see that he's over in like running in Richmond Park today. And it's like, well, you know, and he ran like, 180K a few weeks ago. So chances are he's going over there to run a marathon.
Could be a school teacher, could be on school holidays, just going for a trip.
Are you happy to confirm that he's actually going over there to run a marathon though?
I'm not Andy Buchanan. I'm not speaking for anyone. I just give Brady Trailful opinions on this show, and that's about it. So
Almost got in there, Moose.
All I know is he's ready for a big AV season for the Bendere Obere. So yeah.
After he takes his couple of weeks downtime after the marathon.
Tell you what, this whole not telling anyone's got a heap of actual look at me about it. It's actually working in reverse, I think. I reckon he's chasing attention. He wants people to ask him. That's what I'm reckoning.
Very popular runner. Got a lot of fans out there, so maybe just lessening the noise.
Thinks he has way more fans than he actually does, with all this, real hush-hush about his marathon.
Last year, I'm pretty sure I shared this with you. The episode he was on was the most downloaded podcast episode for the year.
Yeah, I said him, his mum, his dad, his sister.
Big fans out there, the king of cross country in Victoria, in Australia. Anyway, Daniel, we haven't answered your question at all, but give us 7 days and we'll come up with some answers for you. Next thing, the New Balance 1080 version 12 shoe review. Moose, you're going to lead this off. We got given a pair of these probably 2 weeks ago. We got given two pairs of New Balance, didn't we? Which we'll talk about in the coming weeks, the other pair. But start us off, give us the specs. What have we got to expect with this shoe? We've had the last 3 versions through New Balance.
Yeah.
And this one's changed a bit.
Yeah. Well, the shoe is very popular in the industry. It's New Balance's most cushion. Now it used to be its most cushion neutral shoe. There is another shoe that sits above it in the cushioning department now called the New Balance More. But yeah, the 1080 is sort of the mileage shoe for someone who likes a little bit more underfoot than the 880, which is a more stable, slightly less cushion version of this. So the numbers get confusing with New Balance, but 1080 is the premium cushioned neutral shoe. So we did have the last few versions, and I'll just compare it to some other shoes in the industry who, if you're out there running in some of these, you might consider it as an alternative. So an Asics Nimbus, even an Asics Nimbus Lite, Nike Vomero, or perhaps even the Invincible, Saucony Triumph, Brooks Glycerin, or maybe Levitate, Hoka Clifton it would be similar to. What other brands are they? Mizuno Sky. So if you wear those shoes, this might be relevant for you. I loved this shoe a few years ago. So 2019, I remember. Can't remember what number it was. Maybe the V10, maybe the V9. I just adored this shoe. I thought it was nearly perfect. It's an 8mm offset, so it's not super high, it's not super low. That's pretty conservative. It's got a wider footprint, which gives more stability underneath compared to some of the other shoes it competes against. It's always felt like it has a pretty moderate fit, so neither really wide but super narrow, so it accommodates a lot of foot types. And it's felt really quite light and dynamic for how much cushion there is. That's the heritage of this shoe. The new one has changed slightly to that. So New Balance in general, a lot of their shoes at the moment are going bigger and more things on them and more of each thing. So for me, one of the standout things for this shoe is it has a more outer sole. So the rubber on the bottom of the shoe is thicker, which will give the shoe more durability, but it also adds weight to it. So this is a heavier version than the previous one. To me, it feels a little poppier. I think it has a little bit more Fresh Foam X in it compared to the last one, and that's their kind of bouncy training foam. So cushion-wise, it feels a little softer to me. The footprint is broader, especially at the rear foot. So the last shoe was quite rocketed, both rear foot and forefoot. Felt like there was a rocker in both areas, and this one is a lot more stable through the rear foot now. I think it'll suit someone with more of a rear foot strike, which is a lot of the population, and maybe suit walkers a little more as well. The knit on the shoe is tighter, so I think you'll get better hold through the mid and forefoot. The last one was really flexible. If you're off camber, you would almost fall off the shoe to a degree, and it was no good for being out on the trails. Like, people found it quite unstable because of that. The new one should hold you in a lot tighter, but it feels a bit thicker to me because of that. So again, maybe a little bit heavier feel. The biggest change is the heel cup. That was the complaint that nearly everyone had about the previous version, the V11, and they've gone back to a traditional heel cup, and instantly feels a ton better than, well, to me, it feels a ton better. There were some people that adored the heel cup on the last version, but it was a bit more niche. So this heel cup is a lot more popular with more people. It fits heaps more feet, generally a lot better, well received than the last one. And yeah, I haven't had any slip in mine so far. I've got mine after I stopped running, so I've been wearing mine at work a lot, so I can't give a lot of feedback on the ride running, but it's something that I've spent 10 hours on my feet, and I think the upper is really comfortable for that. I notice it feels to me almost like a lower drop than other shoes around it, and I think that's due to the softness of the foam. I sink a little bit into the rear foot when I'm standing there, but that can be quite nice for someone who wants to, feel, well, like they're wearing less shoe than they are. But yeah, they're the differences. So you guys tell me now how you feel in it.
You go first, Croaks, because we've done two different things. I've done easy jogging, like up to an hour in it, but you've done a long run in it.
Yeah, so my first run was just 30k straight out of the box at 4:01s, and the biggest issue I had with the previous version was the material from the heel cup, where that met the upper. It was a real sort of sharp V, and that sort of used to dig into the side of my ankle bone on the outside, and I actually got like blisters there. So I had to put in an extra inner sole to boost my foot up a bit so that V wasn't digging in. So that's completely fixed now. I found it quite poppy, as I copped shit earlier in the episode for running 4:01s with like the last 5k at sort of 3:45s up a hill. Felt great doing it, and what I love about these shoes is just how well I pull up from day to day in them, and obviously that's to do with the foam. So yeah, like I said, I felt awesome Sunday afternoon when I went for a run, even after 30k, largely on the road.
A lot of trust you're putting in a shoe for the long run first up out of the box. Do you know what I mean? Like, you rate that shoe to do that. I wouldn't do that if I didn't rate a shoe. If it's not something I'd worn before and had success with, yeah. So
if the upper had been the same as the other one, I probably wouldn't have, because I knew I had issues with it rubbing on my ankle. But I looked at this one and I put it on, and it's got a lot more cushioning around the around the ankle, and also it doesn't have that V anymore. It's more like just that traditional U shape there. But yeah, like, because I've had the last 3 versions of it, like, I'm pretty comfortable running a long way in them, and they are my mileage shoe. So all of my long Wednesdays and my Sundays, this is what I use.
Interesting. Yeah, my feedback's the same. I much prefer this heel cup. I just felt the last one was a bit tight, like around the bottom of my Achilles there. And as most runners, probably, tight Achilles and do the Achilles rehab exercise and all those things to try to avoid any Achilles injuries. So when that kind of started to flare up a bit with that old heel cup, I would spend less time in it. Whereas this one, I've been in it 3 times so far and haven't had an issue at all, and really enjoying that softness. I'm glad you said that, Moose, because I'd kind of made my notes here, which are a lot less detailed than yours. And that was one thing I had, that the foam was softer or felt softer. So I'm glad you backed that up. The other thing I thought was a bit of wider toe box.
Yeah, it definitely fits longer.
Okay,
and I think it fits wider as well. So yeah, absolutely agree with that. Probably the length though. Have you noticed that maybe you could have gone to a shorter size?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay,
yeah.
I haven't noticed that yet, but I haven't really chucked my toes at the end of the shoe or anything. But yeah, maybe that's where my observation came from, that I was like, something feels a bit different at the front here, and I was maybe thinking it was wider, but it could be longer as well.
Yeah, it's a touch longer, but I didn't have any issues with it.
So would you say to people go half a size smaller, Moose? Or still?
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
If you're borderline, go to the smaller size. That's it.
Yeah. Beautiful. So good shoe. Looking forward to doing many more kilometres in it. It's definitely going to be in my rotation here going forward. Thanks to New Balance. And yeah, go check out the 1080 V12. Moose on the Loose, purchase of the week, rules of Strava.
Well, I mean, I've kind of given the purchase of the week away,
True.
but can I just tell people, everyone listening here is in running. You don't know how lucky you have it in running, because you don't need to buy as much stuff as cycling. It is such a simple, cheap sport, running, because like you can buy a pair of shoes, a pair of shorts, a pair of t-shirt, maybe a couple of shorts, a couple of t-shirts, and then you're pretty much set. I've got this bike, and then I'm like, oh, I also need pedals. Well, there's $100-something for some pedals. Oh, you got to get shoes that fit the pedals, or like bike shoes. Okay, bike shoes, got it. Well, you got to wear special shorts that have like padding to stop your gooch hurting so much. All right, they're bloody expensive. And then you wear like a t-shirt with pockets to put your stuff in. So there's a jersey you got to buy. Oh, your helmet, of course. You're buying a helmet. Of course you got to buy a helmet. Then you look at the actual bike and you're like, okay, well, what on the bike? You got lights. It's dark. I got to buy bike lights that shine up everything. Oh, then you need a pump to pump your tires. What else is there?
Spare tubes.
Oh, I don't even have. If I get a flat, I'm calling. I've just decided. I'm like, I'm not buying all that other stuff, because I probably wouldn't know how to change the tire anyway. So what's the point in buying it? Yeah. So I'm going to just make phone calls if I'm stuck out in the bush somewhere. But yeah, it is such an expensive sport. It is unbelievable, and nothing's cheap. There's like nothing that's a low cost cycling item. Everything is so expensive. And then I look back and go, for running, I'm like, I actually don't remember buying like t-shirts for ages, and shorts like last me 3 seasons, and it's almost a badge of honor to wear a worn out pair of shorts. So yeah, this cycling caper. And there's also a fashion element to it. Like people really try hard to put a look together with cycling, because there's these brands now that are super hipster. Kind of reminds me of those real hipster running brands where you pay like $200 for a t-shirt or something. And they're the same t-shirt as like a $50 shirt.
Nobody pays that though, do they?
Actually, speaking of the look moves, I was actually going to comment. I saw a few Surf Coast track club athletes in Canberra yesterday, and they were looking good. Like the singlet, they all had like the half tights and the alpha flies, and they all matched. Like it was all very color coordinated.
Yeah.
Is that part of the ethos down there?
No, well, they're allowed to look. We are a pretty bunch of people. Like there's no doubt we're good looking, and we're also quite fashionable. But there's a difference between spending $200 on a t-shirt and also looking good. A big difference. And you would have seen Kieran Payton. He was probably, where was he sitting?
Yeah, it was like in the top 10 sort of thing.
Short fella, yeah. Went backwards real quick after about 30K. First marathon, that's what happened.
Look good, though.
Yeah. G looked good early too. He was really nailing it. Hopefully.
If you need to coach, all of my marathons PB'd.
All of them.
All of them. I had 7 PBs.
I'm gonna have to invoice him for this. He's dropped that in there about 40 times today.
Gee, that's not bad. You've been picking those beginner athletes up.
No, most of them have been with me for a few years.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's pretty good.
But I guess it's a PB for him as well, if it's his first one.
Is that what you're claiming out of these 7 too?
No. I'm saying that wasn't his. It was Kieran's.
Kieran's first marathon.
Yes, that's a PB.
Yeah, 2:44 I end up with. Probably faster than that. Like you would have hoped for faster than that, but that's good. 7 PBs. Impressed by that. That is pretty rare.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that's almost like that'll never happen again.
Yeah, I agree. I was talking to Viv the night before. I'm like, surely one of these guys won't have a race that they're happy with, but everyone crossed the line and was happy. So even the guy that missed 3 hours by 5 seconds.
Wow.
All right. That was Moose on the Loose purchase of the week. Don't become a cyclist. Don't buy the over-expensive running kit unless it's from a running company Geelong.
Yeah, don't get injured running. So
don't get injured running. That's
go to cycling. Yeah.
And appreciate it when you're not injured.
Yeah.
Oh for you. It's going to be different coming back this next time.
Here's a question, boys. I just cancelled my gym membership. Is that like
terrible move?
Is that a bad omen? Does that mean like next
terrible
week?
move?
Started doing 2 workouts back to back together, and then you cancelled that.
I just have not used it for so long. So
couldn't you claim it on tax or something for your coaching?
Possibly. I don't know.
You got it for free.
You should back off one of those runs and go to the gym instead. That's what you should do.
Well, I figure my heel reps are my strength.
So that is bullshit, though. That is garbage.
Well, it's been working so far. Body's feeling good. Body's feeling good.
I haven't run a marathon since 2017.
18.
If you had to bet, Moose, how many weeks do you reckon this will last? Would you go
probably?
2 to 4?
I'm going to say 7.
6?
It's going to accumulate, and then in 7, bang, he's gone. He retires again.
When's that? No, Sydney 10's only like 2 weeks away, isn't it?
I think it's 3 weeks. Is it? I think it's 3 weeks just gone. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it'll be 2 weeks this Sunday.
I like him up and about, Brady.
Oh, it's much easier to do
I
a
want
show
it to
with,
stay though. I want it to stay up and about, but I'm just scared for him because he's making some bad calls right now. Yeah.
Anyway, what's coming up? Boston Marathon and Stawell Gift both next Monday. Got Michael Roger in action over there. And I should mention at Stawell they've got that women's 1K. Katrina Bissett, Lyndon Hall, Georgie Griffiths, that handicap. So that's going to be worth watching. They're going to be the real stars watching that event. So that will be good. Other than that, I don't have anything else coming up. What are you boys doing? Moose? Selling shoes?
Yeah, back to work.
Hustling? You're not coming to watch Stawell? I heard you talking on Shoe Geeks that you wouldn't be coming over.
Yeah, mate, public holiday wages.
Just close the shop for the day.
No.
Hey, if I win, can you have this sash in the new store?
How big are the sashes?
Not real big. You can fold them up and stuff. I'll frame it, sign it.
I'll put it in my office. I'll put it up in my office.
Office. Is that also the
not
toilet?
out the front.
In your office. You don't have an office.
You can put it out the back in the office. No. Yeah, I'll put it back there. You can go there with my Geelong Half Marathon finish line tape.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
I'll do that. Brad, what are you doing?
A couple of sessions, Easter.
Hard long run?
Nah, easy this week. Easy.
4 5s. 500 metres of climbing.
I might do a hard Mulligans loop on Good Friday. I'll see. I'm up to it as my sort of hard hit out before Sydney 10.
Means nothing.
But now you've scared me. Now I feel like I've overtrained. I need to do nothing for the rest of this week.
Yeah, that's a high risk getting into doing hard tempos around there. There's rocks, there's hills.
Yeah.
Just play it safe. Anyway, that's the end of the show. Charlie Hunter Part 2. This talks about his Olympic campaign, qualifying for the Olympics, going to Tokyo and onwards. And that's with Luke Matthews. We've also put out over the weekend Jeff Riseley's exit interview. So I caught up with Jeff last Thursday night. Yeah, last Thursday night. And we went for like 2 hours talking about all his career. Obviously, he's been to like 4 Olympics. Is highly ranked in his PBs from 800 and 1500 and the Australian 1K record holder. So that's kind of like a standalone episode. Wherever you get your podcast from, you'll be able to listen to that one. Massive thanks to Jeff for giving up that amount of time and his honesty and opinions on all things in the sport. And also on Patreon at the moment, you have access to the Ollie Hoare interview, which will be coming out on Wednesday, the 20th of April for the iTunes, Spotify people. So if you want to be on Patreon, you also get early access to that. Caught up with him on Saturday, which was good. We got like 24 hours notice to do that interview, and we just managed to pull it off. So massive thanks to my wife for moving a few things around on the weekend so I could do that one. Nothing more we need to say, boys?
No, just good luck. Good luck at Stawell.
Thanks, mate. It's been good being on this journey with you.
Next Monday, straight off the back of that, or we won't be.
Mate, if I win the second sash at Stawell, you won't hear from me for like 3 or 4 days. I'll be on a bender. You will not. No, you won't hear anything. So
we may not be recording next Monday.
There might not be an episode for the next couple of weeks. So
they've definitely done everything in their power to get you that win.
Mate, you can only do whatever you get. You can only run off your handicap.
Well, if you win, we'll just bring Christian back for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if I could be on a panel with you two anymore. Like a 2-time. Actually, Nita said to me, if you win at Stawell twice, it's worth 2 hours 13 for a marathon.
Hey, aren't they unveiling something with they're putting the names of all of the winners from the Herb Hedeman up?
Oh yeah, they did say that in that email, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
So your name will be up there.
My name will be up there, yeah. Yeah, this race has been going 140 years, the Stawell Gift. I'm not sure how long the Herb Hedeman's been going, but you guys are missing out. I can't believe you're not going after all this. Anyway, see you, boys. We're done.
See ya. Good luck.
See you later.
Thank you. You want to say good luck too, Moose? I need your confidence in me.
All the best.
Thank
it's
you.
not about luck for you, Brady.
Exactly. Just execute the plan. See you, boys.
See ya.
If New Balance only made one running shoe, it would be the 1080. It is their best running shoe, period. This shoe is unique in that this top-of-the-line perspective is executed with maximum versatility in mind, making this performance shoe applicable to a wide range of users. The V12 can be viewed as a natural evolution of the 1080's signature qualities. The smooth transitions of the pinnacle underfoot cushioning experience are fine-tuned with updated midsole mapping, which applies more foam to wide areas of the midsole and increases flexibility at the narrower points. The ultra-modern outlook is also reflected in the 1080's upper construction. The shoe also offers a supportive second skin style fit with an engineered hyper-knit upper for a more streamlined overall design.
But here I stand, a man whose roots he understands, and I'm gonna hold my head up high. I was told as a young man, doesn't matter if you're white or black. Just show love to everyone you meet. Doesn't matter if it don't come back.
Probably didn't appreciate it maybe until I think I was just on the rankings like a couple of months later, probably checking out how far I've slipped down because I was once sixth. And yeah, I remember. So when you ran 144.35, you were second at the time behind Deng. You jumped Ralph de Bel, jumped Jeff Riseley, who, Jeff Riseley was, someone you looked up to. You jumped me, who you looked up to as well. Yeah, Alex Rowe. So some pretty big names. And obviously with how Pete ran at the Olympics, you're now third. So I just felt like it maybe just didn't get the appreciation of how good it was at the time. But obviously you were ultimately rewarded by qualifying for the Olympics and then getting selected. So yeah, just and that was your first major championship, and now it's your one of two. Now that you've gone to World Indoors, just run me through like the Olympic experience, like going to Tokyo, what it was like in the village, what it was like with no crowds, and then also at the same time, what it was like competing, because you ended up making a semi-final and really holding your own. But yeah, you've never raced a championship like that. And also you're in one of the best, probably the best stadium in the world with 100 people in the crowd of just teammates.
Yeah. So I think something that most people don't know is after that, I ran 144. I actually strained my calf, and I didn't really run.
I didn't know that.
Before Tokyo. I think it was probably a month between when I ran the time and on the plane to Tokyo, and I'd like strained my calf mid race, and I felt it, but the adrenaline kind of got going. I didn't really feel it. I went to cool down. It was bugging me. I went to go do like a little post race workout, and I had to stop because my calf was cramping up, and it was kind of cool. I was walking back home. It was fine. But the next day I couldn't run. And you might know this, but like around Prefontaine, they resurfaced Pre's Trail. So it's really squishy.
Okay.
Remember that?
No, I didn't know that, but yeah.
They always relay Pre's Trail. So it's super, super squishy. So I think I probably strained my calf, but I did a couple runs and I like pretty well, I wouldn't say tore it, but I severely damaged my calf. So I was in a pool for 3 weeks before Tokyo.
Okay.
I made a post on it. Actually, you can see me. I'm running in a pool, and I was in a pool twice a day for 45 minutes, just aqua jogging, and I couldn't really do much. So, not ideal prep, but I was lean. I was ready.
Yeah, you looked fit.
I just had to make do with what the circumstances were. I think by the time, I should probably say, I had about maybe a week of workouts of running before Tokyo, and I wasn't the best prep, but I still was able to get some good running in. And come Tokyo, I was ready to go. But again, as soon as you land in Tokyo, the way the village was set up, it was all concrete. It was just it was a city. There was no soft surface. There was no real treadmills. And you just had to run on concrete footpaths pretty much. And unfortunately, with the flight and like the first run in, I kind of buggered my calf off again. I was still able to run, but I strained it again. So I was on the tables every day, just trying to keep on top of it. But the heat went pretty good. Maybe got a little bit of bad luck. I got tripped up a little bit coming off into the home straight, so I didn't automatically qualify. But I had a good crack and ended up progressing based off of time. Made the semi. Good momentum kind of going in. I was really confident. I was rooming with Pat Tiernan and like the infamous Pat Tiernan race.
Yeah.
That actually really inspired me to just give it your all. And I actually wrote him a letter after, because he came back late that night and just said, "Hey mate, what a fantastic effort out there. You know, you've really inspired me to go my hardest tomorrow." And I did. Again, a little bit of bad luck with the push and shove. Found myself up front and probably juiced me up a little bit too much come the crunch time of the race. But I put myself in it, and unfortunately I was just a bit fried. You know, mentally I was there, I was engaged physically and everything, but it was a long season for me. And just when it counted, I was left on my feet. I was just really tired, and it wasn't the best race, my last 200, but whatever. It is what it is. I finished my first Olympic experience really happy with, you know, giving it my all. I left no regrets. I didn't sit back and fade. I was actually at the front for a couple, 600 of an Olympic semi-final. You know, it doesn't get much better than that. So I took a lot away from it, but of course wanted a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, it's incredible. Like, I think, I don't even know if it's ever happened before, but having 3 men's 800 meters in the semi-finals, and then Jeff got a little bit caught back by the fall of Amos and Jewett, who we were actually talking about before. But yeah, you and Pete ended up being kind of the aggressors, like the people that were at the front trying to push the race. So, I mean, great to see for viewing, and it definitely did make you proud, like being an Australian in an event you enjoy, in an event you're in, seeing you guys give the best. So absolutely incredible. But yeah, well, I mean, like, was there, and I really don't want to make like the Olympics a sour note, because like you said, it was a positive, but was there ever an idea, like, was there a moment at all where you were like looking up at the crowd being like, oh fuck, like I wish these were full? Or was there ever, or like, you know, maybe having your family there? Because I mean, back at home it looked great, but from everyone back competing there, it just said it was like a bit of a weird feeling, was it?
Yeah, like you knew that you're in an empty stadium, but I think that actually worked to me. As I mentioned, I don't do fantastic in those big crowds and the really stressful environments. It's already stressful enough.
Got to get used to it, though.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, you got to get used to it. But I think that actually worked in my favor, not having a huge crowd. So I think I kind of liked it. But you knew it was an empty stadium for sure, but you also knew that there were millions of people watching online. Like, that was the first time I had actually thought about that, like thinking there's a ton of people watching this online right now, even though there's no one here. You know, there's a lot of eyeballs on me. So yeah. Yeah, incredible.
And yeah, like, was the village everything that you'd expected it to be? Like, I mean, I feel like the village was probably one thing that was pretty similar to most other Olympics, in the sense that it was still full of, I don't know, how many people go to the Olympics? 50,000 people or whatever it is. I don't know. That's just a guess. I'm probably way off there. But was the Olympic like village experience what you'd expected, and did it live up to everything you've read about or heard about?
I think from what I've heard, it's a pretty wild environment. It can almost be a bit too much. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty wild once I finished competition.
Yeah.
But it was, I don't know, it felt pretty tame before competition. So I don't know, maybe I was just more of a recluse and just eating when I had to and leaving the apartment when I had to. But yeah.
Yeah. I'd say the same. I think when you're in that environment and you're in the zone, like you've got the blinders on. So I was like that. I think it was pretty structured and restrictive. Like I can't imagine it's what a normal Olympics is like because of all the mask mandates and all the restrictions. You couldn't leave the village. So I can only imagine it was not the real Olympic experience, but it was still pretty cool, to be in that environment. It's hard to replicate. It is pretty special. I remember Cole was in the US building, which was just across the way from me. So we'd meet up for most dinners, and I'm someone that I think really likes structure and what's comfortable. And for me, that was being with my teammates. So it was really cool that Cole was right there. So I just tried to replicate what these college meets were like, and we'd have dinner together at college. So I just tried to do that at Tokyo. So I just kind of stay in my room, meet up with Cole as most I could, and just chill out.
Yeah. Awesome. No, it's I think that's the big thing with people traveling overseas is that, a lot of people go to Europe and you leave your comfort zone, and it's fucking hard to adjust, and it's hard to get into a flow when you're used to sleeping in a, and you're talking about luxuries, but you're at home, you're in your own queen size bed or king size bed. You know the cafes, you know when to go to gym, you know how to get to training, what have you. And then you go to these other places and it's like, all right, I'm in the middle of a European town, or I'm in the middle of Tokyo Olympic Village. But it was nice that you were able to have that normality and that structure, even at the place, which is, like where you're meant to peak and where you're meant to perform. Finished with as an Olympic semi-finalist, 144.3 on the resume. And I felt like you followed the normal trajectory of an athlete going pro, was that you ended up, signing a professional contract with Nike, and you joined the Union Track Club, which, I mean, I feel like it's, maybe has a bad name, but it was kind of, the natural progression of what was the Oregon project, that coached the likes of Centuitz, Mo Farah, Galen Rupp, Pete Julian, who was the assistant to Alberto, then pretty much started the Union Track Club. And now you're training along the likes of Craig Engels, Donovan Brazier, Jessica Hull, arguably one of the most famous groups in the world. So what was the process like, let's say you're tail end of August, you think you want to go pro. What was the process like with 1, getting the contract, 2, joining a group like Union, and and 3rd, were there any other groups that you were considering going? Because I know there is other Nike groups, or was there potential where, I don't know, maybe you joined Adidas and joined another group or what have you? But what was what were the other opportunities you had?
Yeah.
And also as well, was there ever an aspect as well where you were like, hey, let's sign with Nike or let's sign with Adidas, New Balance, whatever? And was there ever a situation in your mind where you'd potentially stay with Ben Thomas, like what Cole and Cooper has as well? So I've just given you 4 questions, so try just remember them.
I'll unpack that. So the discussions to turn pro were probably initiated in the indoor season. I think I'd even kind of at that time, I'd spent 3 years at Oregon. I'm also a little bit older than the team. So as much as I enjoyed Oregon, I think I was kind of wanting a bit more of a professional setup and a bit more autonomy over what I do and just that professional life. I was looking for that. So the discussion started with the big man Haas. I think I even reached out to you. I was like, hey, any recommendations on who to go with? It was established that Haas was a really good bloke and I wanted to go with him. Early discussions on brands, I'm a Nike guy through and through. I was always hell-bent on Nike. So Nike was heavily weighed, and like I really said to him, look, we're going to go Nike, but let's I was also open to other offers, but I was really, really confident on Nike.
So if someone else had offered you an exorbitant amount, another brand, would you have potentially gone that, or were you still happy to take Nike for whatever money it was?
It just depends on the setup. From day dot, I said money wasn't my deciding factor. It was where I'm going to be happy, confident, and where I can keep improving. And I'll be honest, there were bigger offers out there, but I just felt they weren't the best fit for me at the time. And I just felt like Pete was, disregard how cool Nike is, I just think that Pete was a great coach. I think the opportunity to train with Donovan Brazier's, invaluable, and Craig Ingles. I think it's a great squad. And I think it was just the best fit for me. Money wasn't a key factor. If it was, I probably wouldn't have gone with Nike. But it was just, for me, holistically, Nike was the best fit. Not to say I didn't entertain other offers, because there were other great teams there, but to me, I was kind of hell-bent on Nike, so it was pretty clear from early on. Pete kind of entered the discussion in indoors. Most Oregon guys introduced to some Nike guys pretty early on, if you're kind of at that level. So Jess, I think, reached out to me and said, hey, Pete really likes the look of you. We've got our eye on you. So yeah, some discussion started kind of early on. It was just discussions, and just a bit of communication went along. And when it was clear that Nike was kind of on board, Pete was also on board. So the two are separate, I believe. First, the coach needs you and the brand needs to want you, and the two are kind of mutually exclusive. It is a long process, but I think that's pretty standard for most brands. But I kind of had a bit of urgency about me, because I just kind of wanted it to happen now, and I was getting frustrated because that's just not how it works. I think I think these things take time, but I was really wanting this to kind of happen pretty quick. As for the coaching, it was a tough decision, because that option, I believe, was there to stay with Ben, and Ben was really working, and I had no queries about being with Ben, but I just felt that if I wanted to keep improving and make that next step up, I needed to change something, and I wanted a bit more autonomy over having the freedom to go to altitude camps and ensuring that I'm being trained for what is best for me, not what's best for, not being influenced by what college kids are doing. And I kind of wouldn't mind having the freedom to be based somewhere else than Eugene, Oregon, and things like that. It's just, there's pros and cons to both Ben and Pete, but I just feel like in the long run, Pete is a really good option. And I think it's the best bet for me to keep improving and be competitive on that international stage, because that's what I'm here to do. I want to get a bit of hardware by the time I end this career. So yep. I think Pete's the best bet for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's an easy sell. I mean, like, you go there and you've got, one of the best 1500 meter USA athletes. And you've also got, the world champion in the 800, and then the female team is incredibly good as well. Like, and I'm pretty sure as well, I think Jessica Hull was in a similar situation too, just from what I've heard, is that, there was probably bigger offers out there. There was different groups that would have thrown a lot of cash in her, but she was pretty set on Pete. And obviously what came with that was Nike as well. So, it seems like you two just were pretty direct in what you wanted. And, I mean, it's for Jess, it's worked out. You've been pro for, let's call it 6 months or so. And, you've already made a team, and I'm sure that you're gonna get some hardware, some finals, and some records in the process. I think the thing for me, and I'd like to think that a lot of people have this curiosity too, but I'm certainly curious about Pete Julian and Oregon Project / what is now the Union Athletic Club or Track Club, or we'll just call it Union. Can you just run me through, similar to how I asked you initially about Ben Thomas and the team, but one, what's the dynamic training with, a 334 guy in Engels and also a 142 guy with Donovan Brazier? And then also, like, if it's, what is a normal week, and what are some differences from the Union to, maybe the Melbourne Track Club, and also, the Oregon track and field team?
I think specificity. Although Ben, from a workout standpoint, Ben is very specific, and Pete's probably not specific in that regard. But what I'm doing is very specific to me. What Donovan is doing is specific to him, and Craig for him. So whereas with Ben, it was everyone does the same stuff. I'm now being trained almost individually.
Okay.
But we're all meshed together to do workouts together and things like that. But we're all doing different things, which I think is really cool. From a training standpoint, I don't think you can get more specific than Ben because it was almost too much. So it's probably a bit more generic in that, like, I don't know, like 8 400s, that kind of stuff, like just hit a split, 8 400s, 200 recovery kind of stuff. There's a lot more autonomy with what I do. So, currently I'm based in Australia, so I'm totally solo. But even when I'm back in the States, I'll just be meeting up for workouts. So I'll still be doing, if I want to do 10 miles on a Monday, I can do 10 miles on a Monday. If I want to do my gym session on this day, I can do it. It's just a bit more free, which is nice. And you've got the freedom to do more things. If I want to go home for 3 weeks, I can do that. If I want to go to altitude, Pete can support me to do that. It's just a bit more freedom, which I think I really like. But with regards to the training environment, this is where I can improve most, I think. Donovan, more so than Coop and Cole, is fiercely competitive. Not to mention he's incredibly talented, but his focus on what the task at hand is, his competitiveness to like just push you in workouts is something that I can keep, that I can improve on. So that's something that really drove me to join the team. And then Craig is just an incredible personality who's just great. He's kind of like you. He's very bright and bubbly, and he's just a good guy to be around. And I have a tendency to be pretty focused and monotonal and go into a bit of a deep, dark hole, and he brings me out of it, which I like. So it's a good environment to be a part of.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And yeah, just like for where you're at now, like, yeah, just as I asked before, rough mileage of a solid week, how many workouts, and the one thing I've heard as well is that maybe this was from someone who heard it from Jess, was that your group, the sessions are pretty hard, like really hard, and then the jogging is apparently super, super easy. So yeah, maybe just comment on that, and then also the other questions about the mileage and the sessions.
Yeah, so mileage, I'm hitting about 70, 75 maybe. So miles, so that would be about what, 120? About 120?
Yeah, I think 80's 128, isn't it? So yeah, it'd be about 120, yeah. Yeah,
about, I hit around 120.
Yeah.
Which is something new.
I might have got that conversion wrong, so if the listeners don't hurt me, but yeah, okay.
It's roughly 115, 120, something like that.
Yep.
Which is different to me. I never counted miles with Ben. It was just kind of, everything was so structured. You didn't have to count miles. You just did the specific workout.
Yeah. Whereas
now Pete will give me mileage for the week and workouts, and you fill in the gaps. Okay. So that's a big adjustment for me. So the mileage, I feel like I could maybe do a little bit more, but I'm kind of like when I joined Ben, you just kind of got to understand the training and get used to it a bit. And that's reflected in my racing a little bit. I'm obviously not hitting my straps like I did last year. And my only hope is that if I give it a bit more time, it's gonna pay dividends. And it's already starting to kick in. I definitely turned a corner this weekend at Aussie Champs. I'm racing a little bit more like myself. And I'm just getting used to the training a little bit more. So roughly 120 Ks a week. Workouts are intense. They're a bit more short and sharp, and you got to be on for the specific rep. Whereas Ben, it was kind of like a long it was a huge workout where there would be active recoveries and speed play and yada, yada, yada. Whereas Pete's a bit more like, all right, we're going to hit 4 by a K in 2:35. It's just it's got to be on. One workout we did up at Chula Vista in the preseason, Craig Donovan and myself, we ran 4 by K 500. So K 400 recovery and then a 500. And the Ks were in like 235 and the 500s were in 70, 75, 72. And that was a tough workout.
You're going through 61, 62, or 62s for the K, and then you're going through the 400 in like 58, 59.
58, yeah.
Fuck. Okay.
Yeah, that was a windy ass day.
Yeah.
And we have some spectators there, so they can vouch for us. So the workouts are pretty tough, pretty intense. So yeah, that's par for the course though. Everyone does hard workouts at this level. Was there anything else you touched on?
Yeah, I think it's like the thing I've heard is like the training are like more polarized. So like sessions are hard and jogging is easy, which I think goes back to that kind of like 80-20 or 20-80 approach. Is that something that you've noticed? Like, is the jogging, like, is it an emphasis on going easy?
That's individualized, but that is something I've really tried to work on. I developed that last year. That was a big turning point for me. It was like, look, you need to really chill on the easy runs. And that's something I love to do. I typically go solo on recovery days and just put some music on, and I go slow, and then I tell myself to go a little bit slower.
Okay.
So for me, that's my approach, but I don't think everyone has that approach, but that's what I do. I remember seeing Pat Tiernan run past my house one morning, and he was absolutely crawling. And I thought, if it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, you're hitting 3 sessions hard, and is there like a split of like, you know, speed, endurance, strength, and like top end aerobic, or is it just kind of dependent on the year, on the time and the season?
I'm still pretty fresh with Pete. I haven't been with Pete for 6 months. I've been with Pete for probably 3 months.
Oh, right.
So
okay.
It's not long at all. But I would say, typically periodization works is the base phase. We're going to do more strength-based workouts that probably range between 8 to 10K, around that threshold work with an emphasis on just low intensity heat. That was something I noticed at Oregon. You're kind of like always on, whereas Pete in the early base phase, I was itching to get going. Like he really kind of held me back in that base phase. But there's always kind of that emphasis on I think when we hit the track really hard, and I think there's far more emphasis on speed endurance than kind of that threshold work at this point. But it's a bit early to say for me to like really give you a blanket statement on Pete's stuff, because I really haven't been there that long.
Well, I mean, I feel like we're just slowly getting to the tail end of this podcast. I mean, it has gone for a little while, but we've kind of gone down a few rabbit holes. But it's April of a huge year. You've got World Champs and then the Commonwealth Games 2 weeks later. You've just finished second at the National Championships. You have a qualifier. You qualified?
I think I don't think I have one at the moment. I think I just missed the qualifying period, so I think I need to get something.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, pretty much. What are your plans just for just until you pretty much get to the next major?
Plan is now to run Brisbane. Sounds like Pete's setting up a pretty quick race, so that'd be a good opportunity to get the time whilst I'm fit. And then I think I need a bit of downtime. I've been going for a little while, so plan is to race Brizzy, chill for a week or two, and then head back to the States and do some altitude. Probably head up there for about 4 to 5 weeks, and then do some domestic races, I guess. Hopefully I get the time at Brizzy, and that should really kind of solidify my spot for comms and world champs. And then it's just kind of get ready for that. I think the goal for me is make that final and be competitive. And Com Games do the same, just be competitive, be be engaged, be ready to race hard and chase some medals.
Sure. It's awesome. Very exciting. But yeah, I think if you run a time and you got the second at the national championships, I think it's pretty hard to not select you. So yeah, pretty exciting year ahead. I mean, it's just awesome for you as well. You've got essentially a home world championships, the place where you went to college, and then you head over to Europe like pretty much a week later and you got a Commonwealth Games. So it's an exciting year. And yeah, it's I feel like when you joined MTC in 2016 and 2017, I felt like, you kind of confided in me a little bit, and I feel really fortunate enough that I've been able to see your career and your path to being a kid that didn't really know his way in the professional game to now being one of our best middle distance athletes and, being a part of the best training group and living out his dream. So, thanks for the interview. Thanks for letting me be a part of your career in a very small way. And I think myself personally and the rest of the listeners are really excited and rooting for you for the rest of the season and the rest of your career.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Luke. A fantastic interview and look forward to seeing you soon.
Awesome. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
If New Balance only made one running shoe, it would be the 1080. It is their best running shoe, period. With fine-tuned underfoot cushioning and an overall streamlined look, the Fresh Foam X 1080 V12 represent a subtle but impactful evolution of the flagship Fresh Foam running shoe. The 1080 offers a supportive second skin style fit with an engineered hypo knit upper for a more streamlined overall design.